It's time once again to answer the classic Disney World question that floods our video comments every year. Will the parks be empty next year? Or will they just be as busy as we've ever seen them? We've got some new data, new concerns, and new tips to help you navigate whatever the truth could be here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. We are back to the video topic that has become a DFB favorite over the years, looking into the future of Disney World and deciding whether or not we're in for another busy year or surprisingly an empty one across all the parks. Let's get into it. So there have been conversations going on around the World Wide Web that Disney World in 2026 is going to be relatively slow compared to what we've seen in the past. But is there any merit to these rumors? Honestly, maybe. So welcome friends and family, not to Walt Disney World, but to what I like to call Wall Disney World. This is a theme park bubble with tons and tons and tons of construction walls up and building going on. And a lot of that construction will not be wrapping up anytime soon, especially not in 2026. Disney World's entered into a season of massive re-themes that are following permanent closures. Just to give you a recap, Tom Sawyer Island and Liberty Square Riverboat in Magic Kingdom permanently closed on July 7th to accommodate the construction of 2 new Cars-themed attractions and a whole Cars-themed area called Piston Peak, branching out of Frontierland. And beyond Piston Peak, Magic Kingdom is also currently developing a whole Villains-themed area as well. On May 11th, Mama Melrose's Ristorante Italiano permanently closed in Hollywood Studios to accommodate construction for the new Monsters Inc. land. The remainder of Muppets Courtyard closed shortly after on June 8th, which was the last we saw of Muppet Vision 3D and Pizza Rizzo. On September 25th, Animation Courtyard, including Star Wars Launch Bay and Disney Junior Play and Dance, closed for good to make way for the Walt Disney Studios, which is going to feature the Magic of Disney animation experience. Over in Animal Kingdom, Dinoland USA started its phased closures on January 13th to start breaking ground for the new land themed to the tropical Americas, called Pueblo Esperanza. In the first wave of closures, we lost Triceratops Spin, Fossil Fun Games, and Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures. The second wave took out the Boneyard Playground on September 2nd, and the final wave hasn't happened just yet, but the last day folks will be able to experience Dinosaur and the other snack and food locations in this area will be on February 1st, 2026. And what we're going to be left with for the time being are walls, and hey look, more walls. I'm not here to sugarcoat things, never have been, never will be. Disney World is not going to be in its prime in 2026, and while that doesn't mean a visit here next year won't still be fun, you gotta set those expectations now and realize you'll only be getting a slice of these parks instead of the whole park pie for a while. Except for Epcot. Epcot's looking pretty sharp and kind of done lately, but it already had its Walcott season. Now 2027 and beyond is when we're really going to start seeing the fruits of these construction labors, so there is a chance that the parks might see fewer crowds in 2026 just because people are holding off on their big Disney trips until the vacation splurge looks more worthwhile. The only new land that we have some sort of loose date for is Pueblo Esperanza, which Disney has announced will be opening sometime in 2027. So we can only assume that the other lands currently being worked on will be following after that one, maybe even opening as far away as 2028 or beyond. If you want to keep closer track of what the next 12 months in Disney World is going to look like, we've got a Disney World calendar that we update with every new announcement and date drop that you can pick up for free right now by scanning the QR code you see on the screen or by clicking the link in the description for disneyfoodblog.com/WDW calendar after this. Okay, another reason why Disney World could be empty in 2026. Attendance is still down. With each new quarter, Disney holds an earnings call to update wondering minds on their current financial standings. With this most recent report, it seemed like lots of numbers were going up, but don't automatically assume that an increase in revenue equates to an increase in attendance, because there are other factors at play that show attendance levels may not be up to snuff like they once were, which could continue being a pattern in 2026 as well. Let's get our magnifying glasses out and take a closer look between the lines to see what's really going on beyond this revenue increase. Even though Disney announced during their most recent earnings call that bookings for Disney World for third quarter of the year were up 4%, Disney's also shared that international attendance at the domestic parks has not gotten back to pre-COVID levels. And that makes sense for 2025 as a whole. While the U.S. Travel Association predicted that foreign travel spending would rise to $200.8 billion this year, outside factors caused it to drop down to $169 billion. billion. So international travel is still down as a whole, which would definitely impact Disney World's numbers too. But will international travel continue to be a downward trend as we go into next year? Well, that's hard to tell. Some predictions say international travel will increase in 2026, possibly even beyond pre-pandemic numbers. But even if international tourism spikes, that doesn't necessarily mean these overseas guests will be piling into Disney World. Several travel experts have mentioned two specific trends that could shift the way both international and domestic vacationers plan their getaways around the US next year. The first is the need to reconnect with nature in a world dominated by all things social media. We're talking state parks, mountains, beaches, and considering Disney World has been leaning more into their My Disney Experience app lately to help streamline the park planning process, this might be a red flag for travelers who are seeking the exact opposite, a screenless vacation destination. The second travel trend that could be taking over the scene in 2026 are coolcations. According to the New York Times, coolcations are going to be the next big thing. This is where travelers will plan trips around cooler climates and avoid the heat of traditional summer spots, like Orlando. So whether it be international or domestic travelers who are looking for less sweat-inducing vacation spots, we might see an uptick in U.S. vacations to states like Alaska, Oregon, Colorado, and other places that run a bit cooler than what you're going to find over in Florida. Now, Disney did say that domestic attendance has been tremendously helping to make up for the dip in international travel, and yet despite Disney's reports of domestic attendance increasing overall, we've been seeing lots of promotions going on for hotels, vacation packages, even annual passes that go beyond the discounts we've seen in years past and are available for not just 2025 guests, but 2026 guests too. I'm not saying it's rare for Disney to release discounts. Discounts pop up in Disney World all the time, but the discounts we've been seeing on the website lately seem significant. And before these AP promotions were ever a thing, Disney also lowered the required down payments for Florida local APs earlier on in the year for a limited time. We're also seeing unique discounts at the moment for things like free dining plan deals and special offers specifically for Georgia residents. And then, of course, there's the free water park deal that gets all guests staying at a Disney-owned hotel free Disney water park tickets on their hotel check-in day, which is a promotion that will be returning in summer of 2026 as well. For a vacation destination that's pretty infamous for regular price increases, these kinds of discounts don't happen for no reason. Generally, Disney doesn't need any sort of bribe to get guests to buy up their APs or park tickets or hotel rooms. So when unique ticket deals like these are released, this generally means numbers are lower than Disney expected them to be, and or they want to make sure numbers are stable even during a time of decreased interest. For example, looking back to the 2008-2009 recession timeframe, while domestic travel slowed drastically during this period of time, Disney was able to come out on the other side of things relatively unscathed by offering unheard of discounts, including a buy 4 get 3 free deal. Sure, these guests all got 3 free park tickets, but that also meant spending more money on 3 more hotel stays, paying for multiple meals, maybe even investing in an extra souvenir or 2 that these vacationers wouldn't have snatched up otherwise during shorter vacations. I think what's really interesting to see, though, are those pass holder deals popping up, which is something we rarely see Disney do, like ever. Current pass holders could be canceling their passes for a number of reasons, from construction to higher prices to Epic Universe persuasion to the cultural impacts and so on. But it is fascinating that we've switched from a time where everyone and their mother seemed to be scrambling to get their hands on an annual pass to the point that Disney actually even shut down annual pass sales for a while. And now Disney's quite literally giving money away to convince folks to purchase or reinstate their passes. So wait, what about the major Disney fans out there? Will they still be flocking to Disney World in 2026? Disney World does still have a few fun 2026 surprises up their sleeves, which I'll talk about later on. But it does seem that one of Disney World's biggest competitors that'll potentially drive park traffic down next year could actually be Disney. Yeah, we've already had the Disney Treasure now up and sailing since December 2024, but soon the new Disney Destiny is going to set sail starting on November 20th, 2025, which will bring new experiences like the Festival of the Lion King restaurant, Cask and Cannon, the Pirates of the Caribbean bar, the exclusive Hercules musical, and more. But there's another new ship being added to the Disney Cruise Line lineup shortly after the Disney Destiny plans to set sail. Originally, the Disney Adventure, which will be Disney's first ever ship ship to not only feature a roller coaster, but also to sail out of Singapore, was supposed to take its maiden voyage on December 15th of this year. But Disney's since pushed back the adventure's first sail date until March 10th, 2026, due to some unexpected delays in the shipbuilding process. But once things do finally kick off here, the Disney Adventure will be yet another brand new ship on the Disney Cruise Line family. And let's not forget the new exciting things that are happening over at Disney Cruise Line's classic ships. Because in 2026, the Magic is going to set sail with new Alaskan itineraries, and the Disney Dream will add Sardinia, Italy to its Mediterranean cruises. Disney Cruise Line will also expand its themed days at sea. Marvel Day at Sea is going to set sail from Galveston, Texas in January 2026, and Pixar Day at Sea is going to return to fantasy sailings next year too. So if folks don't want kind of a more stressful theme park vacation when none of the rides are open anyways, they may choose to do Disney Cruise Line for the first time. And then there's Disneyland. The crowds came in droves for the kickoff of Disneyland's 70th anniversary celebration starting on May 16th, 2025. And it's still going on, but only until summer of next year. So what can you expect to see during all the anniversary stuff? For starters, the Paint the Night Electrical Parade returned after being MIA for several years. The Wondrous Journeys fireworks show also returned, but if you're going to the park super soon, just note that this nighttime spectacular has been temporarily put on pause to make way for seasonal Halloween and holiday entertainment offerings, but will return at a later date. A new World of Color show in Disney California Adventure has made its debut as part of the anniversary, called World of Color Happiness. The nighttime show was inspired by Walt Disney's famous words on opening day. You know them. To all who come to this happy place, welcome. And here's something really fun about this one. It actually has a choose your own adventure vibe to it. On the Disneyland app, you can influence part of the show by voting for which inside out emotion, sadness, anger, disgust, or envy, gets a special spotlight that night. Sorry, apparently fear is too scared to make an appearance, so he's not an option. And of course, Disneyland itself, as well as the characters, merchandise, and limited time snacks, are all spiffed up in 70th anniversary glam, which you'll only have the chance to experience during this celebration. We'll talk about the international parks really quickly here too. International attendance might be down in the domestic parks right now, but that doesn't mean Disney's international parks are sitting idle. In fact, some of them have a whole lot more going on next year than what Disney World's going to be doing in 2026. The biggest change that'll be happening is over in Disneyland Paris. Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris will officially transform into Disney Adventure World in 2026, and this massive project includes a Lion King flume ride, which looks similar to Tiana's Bayou Adventure, an up-themed swinging attraction, a Rapunzel spinner ride, a brand new Frozen Land with major e-ticket attraction, and more. So if you're visiting Disneyland Paris, this is going to be the park's biggest expansion since it opened. So expect high demand and crowds when it debuts. And let's not forget, several of these international parks have added brand new lands to their properties just within the past few years or so that maybe you haven't had the chance to see just yet. This includes the incredible Fantasy Springs in Tokyo Disney Sea, which opened on June 6th of last year, and added 3 new sections to the park, including areas inspired by Tangled, Frozen, and Peter Pan. The World of Frozen opened in Hong Kong Disney back on November 20th, 2023, and Shanghai Disneyland opened their whole new Zootopia-themed area back in 2023 as well. And finally, let's talk Epic Universe, but not how you think. Before Universal Orlando's brand new theme park, Epic Universe, opened in May 2025, Disney was questioned about how they felt about the up-and-coming impact that their biggest theme park competitor would make on their own park attendance levels. And Disney's response was pretty optimistic. CEO Bob Iger pointed out how back in 1999, when Universal's Islands of Adventure Park was just opening up, a new competitor park was actually beneficial for Disney's bookings and overall numbers, with many travelers extending their Orlando vacations to visit both park properties as opposed to skipping Disney. And he, as well as other Disney execs, expected Epic Universe to do the same now as Islands of Adventure did then. So did it? Well, Disney pointed out that summer bookings were up for 2025, and while that doesn't necessarily mean it directly correlates with Epic Universe's opening, there's a good chance that history repeated itself. Disney World President Jeff Volley mentioned in past interviews that the big swing Universal is doing with Epic Universe creates a huge investment in not just Universal's own parks, but in the Orlando community in general. Now, the only question remaining is, will Epic Universe be able to keep helping Disney World's numbers going forward? Or was this just a short-term burst? So I think there's going to be a lot of factors that'll play into this. But I guess we can start by looking back on history to see what happened after Islands of Adventure opened. Unfortunately, in those first 2 years of Islands of Adventure, after the initial excitement wore off, business dropped off between 2000 and 2001. And Universal ended up having to make some major budget cuts while simultaneously also trying to add more things to the park to make it more appealing to guests. Now, Epic Universe is one of my personal new favorite theme parks ever, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be the right fit for everyone next year. For instance, even with the kid-friendly additions inside this park, especially in areas like Super Nintendo World and Isle of Berk, there's not a whole lot for families with younger members to do here just yet. At least not enough to fill an entire park day. And if we're really going hard on the coolcations next year, like some travel experts are predicting, the cool places to hang out around Epic Universe are fairly few and far between, especially with its lack of shade. Some families might also continue to hold out until more offerings are available for Epic Universe that'll make their vacation more convenient and possibly more affordable too. Because at the time of recording, Epic Universe doesn't have a free Express Pass offering that you can get with a stay at one of Universal's signature hotels, like you can get for the other two Universal parks. And Epic Universe also doesn't yet have an annual pass option available. So repeat visits aren't really going to be a thing for guests unless they're willing to pay out of pocket every time they want to go to that park. With all that being said, Epic Universe has a lot of intrigue, and those who weren't able to experience it this year might come next year and do some theme park double dipping in both Universal and Disney while they're at it. But if Disney was once relying on riding the coattails of Epic Universe's success while continuing to be in Walt Disney World mode, that initial burst of excitement for Epic Universe from this summer may not carry over to 2026. Okay, so here's why it might not be empty next year. Before we start jumping to the conclusion that Disney World in 2026 is going to be nothing but construction walls and tumbleweeds, let's look at why next year at Disney World could still be much more crowded than you might have expected. First, there will still be new attractions. So in 2026, expect to see the reimagined Big Thunder Mountain Railroad finally reopening in Magic Kingdom with new effects and new train cars and a new track and a new storyline. Plus, its revamped exterior is going to help fit into the new Piston Peak area when the Cars Land update finally goes live. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin also reopens in Magic Kingdom sometime next year to give future galactic heroes the chance to blast their way through new scenes and targets while using new blaster technology and brand new ride vehicles. Over in Hollywood Studios, Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith will be closing at the beginning of the year to start paving the way for a very Muppety takeover. This Muppets revamp should be ready later on in 2026, more than likely really late in 2026 if I were to guess, but who knows? Zootopia surprised us, right? And another thing that'll be happening in Hollywood Studios next year, in honor of the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie on May 22nd, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run will offer new experiences for those who ride it beginning on that same date. Your group will also get the opportunity to choose where you travel to during your time inside the hunk of junk. Now, notice that the only date we know about for sure when it comes to these new and revamped 2026 experiences is the Smuggler's Run update. Everything else is up in the air right now, meaning these experiences could open up in early 2026 or very late 2026. And those who are already on the fence about traveling to Disney World in the first place, afraid that they're going to miss all the cool new stuff if they go too early, may decide to keep holding off on their trips until 2027 and beyond. That way, these new and refurbished rides will be more of a guarantee and not just a gamble. That being said, let's not forget that Disney World has opened or is about to open experiences in 2025 that maybe folks haven't had the chance to see just yet, but they're planning to see for the first time in 2026. Like how Zootopia Better Zoo Gather will be opening on November 7th, 2025 in Animal Kingdom's Tree of Life. It's an all-new 4D show replacing the old It's Tough to Be a Bug attraction in a story that takes place on Zoo Gather Day, right alongside new and familiar Zootopia characters who are going to join you on your journey. Over in Magic Kingdom, you can now see Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away. That's the nighttime parade that opened on July 20th. This happens twice nightly, once before and once after the Happily Ever After fireworks. So you've got double the chance to see it run through Main Street USA and Liberty Square and Frontierland. Hollywood Studios kept the live entertainment going strong this year when they opened up 2 new live stage shows this May. Disney Villains Unfairly Ever After stars Captain Hook, Cruella Cruella de Vil and Maleficent in a show where they finally get to tell their side of the story through song and dance, and the audience gets to decide who was really treated the unfairest of them all. And then after years and years and years of wondering what was going to happen to the Little Mermaid Theater after COVID, Hollywood Studios finally opened The Little Mermaid: A Musical Adventure, which is very similar to the stage show that was here before, just with a few additional new scenes and songs and effects. On July 22nd, 2025, Epcot opened Test Track 3.0 after its year-long closure to give us a fresh high-speed ride that captures classic Epcot with more of a futuristic twist. And Disney World also opened 2 lounges this year. GO82 is in Epcot, that's an adult-only lounge that takes you inside Spaceship Earth for a chill atmosphere, intricate cocktails, elevated bites, and a sweeping view across World Celebration Gardens and the fireworks. And then we got the Pirates of the Caribbean themed Beacon Barrel in Magic Kingdom. That's an immersive space for the whole family to enjoy. Good luck getting a reservation. So again, Disney World's not doing nothing right now, despite all the construction walls. There's still new stuff to see and do here that'll stretch on throughout 2026. Plus, the bulk of Disney World's classic offerings will still be open and available for next year's vacationers too. And park seasons will always be park seasons. Let's say Disney World attendance drops in 2026 due to construction and price hikes and travel trend changes or whatever. Regardless of numbers potentially dipping, Disney's peak season times are still going to be busy. I can almost guarantee you that. Seasons like spring break, 4th of July, Thanksgiving week, and Christmas on until New Year's Day are always swarming with guests year after year. And that's because these are the times of the year when schools are off for an extended period of time, making them prime opportunities for families to take vacations to places like Disney World. So, could Disney be empty at some points of the year when travel isn't as prominent? Absolutely, but don't be planning a 2026 Magic Kingdom trip for, say, the day after Christmas and expect the parks to be dead thanks to all that construction going on, because the crowds are still going to come and you're still going to want to prepare for them accordingly. So what's the best way to prepare for higher than average Disney crowd levels? Well, for starters, think about what your main priorities are going to be. If rides are what you're after, you're more than likely going to want to invest in those premium pay-to-skip-the-ride line services called Lightning Lanes to help your family avoid the bulk of the most popular ride lines whenever possible. If dining's a big deal to you, you're going to want to make sure you book your advanced dining reservations for restaurants right when you can, starting 60 days out, because even the table services that don't always book up solid could well see a huge uptick when the park crowds are at their highest. And if booking your dream resort is your number one priority, the sooner you can lock in your stay dates, the better. Just to make sure rooms don't sell out and prices don't fluctuate any higher, which can happen the closer you get to those peak travel dates. Just remember to check Disney's special offers, deals, and discounts page before you book anything to make sure you're not paying full price for one of those rooms during a time when surge prices are going to be at an all-time high. There's always a discount. Don't ever pay rack rate. Disney's entering into a season that I can only describe as the calm before the storm. We've seen the types of heavy crowds that pop up after new lands are added to parks, and we've also seen the new rules Disney has to put in place to manage crowd levels as much as they can, right, Galaxy's Edge? So, the fact that we have no new lands coming to Disney World in 2026 means that this could be one of the easiest years to actually plan a Disney vacation. Currently, there are no virtual queues to stress over. There aren't any giant crowds rushing into certain areas and crowding them out to the brink of capacity. There aren't any striking new ways that you need to plan out your mornings and evenings in the parks. And in the case of Animal Kingdom, this park is going to be a breeze to navigate throughout 2026. Not only will you be able to knock out all those rides with very little stress about getting them all done, but you'll also have an easygoing time checking out the other shows and animal trails and peaceful extras that this park has to offer. So while I wouldn't say Disney World is ever 100% predictable, 2026 might be as close as we're going to get, which might have been just the window of opportunity you were hoping for, and what others were hoping for too. So what do you think? Is 2026 gonna be the year you go to Disney World, or are you holding out a bit longer? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget that we got a ton of planning videos for you to still check out, including those new Disney World itinerary videos we've been posting lately. Plus, if you haven't already, be sure to download that free Disney World 12-month calendar that we've got ready to send your way right now over at disneyfoodblog.com/WDW calendar. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.